A lot of people can feel like giving grace in your relationship is enabling bad habits or bad behavior. But in truth, when we are able to discern between enabling and grace, grace is actually such a beautiful act of compassion in our relationships. It is a saving, you know, saving grace when we utilize that. So let's talk about it. I actually came to this today and want to share my own story of, being able, asking and requesting grace, and what I wish I had known earlier in the relationship that kind of came to light a little bit later in the relationship, but was indeed a saving grace. So I'm going to share my insights and my lessons on that with you. So, like I said, this came to me as I don't even know if I said it, but I'm saying it now. This idea came to me as I was watching my son, my toddler son, take his first ever swim class today. And it's like basics because he is in the pool, in the water, but he's with that floaty. Okay. He's got that floaty on for mommy's sanity and all of that. He's got his floaty thing happening, and he doesn't have his floaty in this pool. He's with the instructor, and they're doing the basic, like he's on the float board, and you're kicking and you're learning your technique, and he's putting his face in the water and blowing bubbles. And I'm like, I'm looking at him and I'm like, first of all, I'm like, he's so cute. Yeah. But I'm also looking at him like he's starting a new skill. He's learning something new. He's creating better habits in the water. He's understanding what it means to breathe underwater, to be safe in the water. And that takes some time. Now, some people are fast learners and can learn it quickly. Some people, it takes a little bit more time. They're slower to learn something. And then you got everybody in between. But at the end of the day, it takes some time. Yet and still, for some reason in our relationships, we may unconsciously or consciously feel like things should be going faster. Like, if I asked you not to do this, or if you said that you were going to change this thing and you don't, it should be like quick. What's happening? The switch should be turned on or off, and it should be quick. And that's just not real. I often say to myself, to my couples that I coach, even to friends, when we're just kicking it and talking about relationships and talking about the real, that it's just not a light switch. And so you've got to give yourself grace. So here's a simple, because I want y'all to stay with me, a simple example from my life of something that I have a bad habit of doing, and it ticks my husband off, really, because he loves and cares about me and my well-being. It's just, if does not, it's not good. And sometimes it's hard to say because y'all might come for me too and be like, nah, girl, you got to do better. And I have, and I haven't. So I remember a distinct time my husband was working outside of the home. I think that we had Sovereign at this time, but she was really small. Um, and I don't always have my phone with me. I don't have it with me. Sometimes I don't even have it like the ringer on. It's on silent. And I'm someone who can spend hours away from my phone and just not look at it and then have a bunch of missed calls and things like that. And so this was like our first apartment, you know, and I think we had Sovereign, and my husband must have been trying to reach me. He was at the time working outside the home, trying to reach me, trying to reach me, trying to reach me. And he couldn't reach me. And next thing I know, he drove home, and he I don't know why he did this. I can remember he's looking in trying to look into the window slats first before he like comes in the house or whatever. And then I think he tries to call me one more time. I don't remember if he didn't have his keys or something, but he tries to call me one more time. And if you listen to this video, feel free to correct my the holes in the story, boo, in the comments. But I remember that I think he called me while he was still there, and he was like, "What? I thought something happened to you. I'm home trying to see, and you're home fine. You didn't answer your phone." And I'm like, I didn't even hear it. I didn't look at it. And that is a pivotal moment for me because I realized that me just, nonchalant, like, whatever, I'll look at my phone later. I got stuff to do. Not being attached to my phone, and more importantly, not putting the ringer on so that someone could reach me if I needed to, was not safe. You might be like, duh, but it was just my relationship with my phone. And he was so upset because I had worried him and he was concerned about me and I was fine. Like, he wasn't upset that I was fine, but he was kind of upset that, like, oh, you fine? You just not paying attention to your phone. And this is not a great habit, and it wasn't a communicative habit. I wasn't open to communication because I had done this. And he made that very clear that he didn't like that. Now, over time and over the years, I have gotten better at that. I keep my phone's ringer on. I remember I changed my husband's ringtone to a very specific ringtone that was different than anybody else. So let's say my phone was in another room and it went off. If I heard this ringtone, I knew it was him, right? So I was like, let me keep that phone together, keep the ringer on. He has a specific ringer. I'm going to make sure that, I'm available, I'm communicative. And, I did until I didn't. There are still moments where I don't check my phone. And I had a recent moment. If you caught my video about my week of tourist adventures when my friend came to visit, I went on like an all day excursion to one of the indigenous villages here. And I told him there was going to be all day. But probably around 3 something, he had messaged me on the phone. It was a long day. I was exhausted. I did not check my phone the whole day. I didn't check my phone the whole day. You might be like, how'd you get this footage? I got the footage, okay, because my friend took some footage. I got the footage because our tour guide took a lot of footage and sent it to us via WhatsApp. Like, that's how I got the footage. And so I wasn't on my phone. And when I got home, he was like, so you didn't check your phone all day? It's the 3 stuff that, and I was like, oh man, I had done it again. And this doesn't mean that I hadn't learned my lesson and made intentional strides to do better, but I still made the mistake. And in those moments, I want to do 2 things. I want to acknowledge that I made that mistake. I want to acknowledge his concern and his upset, and I understand where it's coming from, and apologize. And I want to see, how I could do better next time, in the next time. And I also want to ask for a little grace and give myself grace, because yeah, you've been doing better, but then you messed up again. You backslid into your default habit, and it affects somebody else. And you got to acknowledge that, whether you meant to or not, whether it was your intention, there was an impact made, and that impact was something that wasn't great, wasn't good, wasn't comfortable, and you need to acknowledge that. And I do. I say this to say, and I use this example to say, even like my child is 10 now. So even in the beginning, when I first realized how detrimental that was and how I was kind of cutting myself off with somebody out there in the world who was thinking about me and caring about me and maybe needing to reach me, and years of doing better. And then still I will have pockets where I don't do better. And I need some grace in those times. And we also have to give grace, because sometimes we think, and the frustrating thing is like, I need you to do this because this is how it affects me. I get it, and I understand him, and I want to do better. And yet, and still, the human in me will sometimes make the same mistake again, will sometimes backslide into a default unconsciously, unintentionally, and yet, and still, I did it, and there's consequences for that. In those moments when he can express his frustration and yet still finds ways to give me grace around it, to me, that's an act of compassion. And vice versa, when I do it for him, it's an act of compassion. Here's why it's not enabling, or here's why it's not like him just, him or I being flippant about behavior that's not cool, or behavior that affects, our partner negatively, because the intention is being put in to make the shift. That's the key part. It's not like I keep making the same mistake. I keep leaning into the same habit and I'm not even making an intention to change it. The reality is I have made the intention to change it. And sometimes I jack it up. And that's when I need the grace. That's when I need the compassion. And it really, real talk, derails what could be an argument, what could be something that blows up into something else because someone is hurt or someone doesn't feel acknowledged or somebody doesn't feel heard. When you do acknowledge that and then saving grace comes in, I was like, look, Grace is your friend. Invite her in, give her a cup of tea. Okay. Ask if she wants cream or sugar. Like, what you need, Grace. Okay. Let that be your friend in the relationship. And that's something that I definitely told myself to. So bringing it full circle back to watching my son, it takes time to build new habits, to learn something new or to change or shift something about how you've been functioning. Right? I watched him at the beginning and I'm like, oh, it's going to take some time for him to really be swimming in the water and for mama to feel like you don't need a floaty in the water and you could save yourself and be safe if something were to go down or I can't get to you quick enough or what have you. It's going to take some time. And as partners, we also want to leave spaciousness for the time it takes for us to shift, for us to grow, for us to elevate in areas, for us to combat habits that we have that maybe aren't serving or aren't beneficial, but may come up now and then. I love Grace, man. I love you, Grace, because it's such a it's just I just think it's such a beautiful element in relationships where we can do that. Grace really does allow us to create spaciousness for ourselves and for our partners to grow and to elevate and to shift without the pressure and expectation that it is going to happen quickly. That when you decide that you no longer want to make this mistake, that it's never going to happen again. That's a lot of dang pressure. It's never going to happen again. And let me be very clear, because I just realized something. I'm not talking about like I made a mistake and cheated. Like I'm not talking about that. That needs to be something that is quickly addressed, worked through so that it absolutely does not happen again. That there's layers to that. I can't even go into that in this video in terms of coming back from infidelity and that kind of just complete breakdown of trust. I'm talking about habits you have around communication, habits you have around connection, habits you may have around how you function in the household that just has an impact on your partner, has an impact on you that you may not realize or see, and can affect how things run, in the house and how you and your partner are able to connect and move through any issues. So I just want to be clear. I'm not talking about like, yeah, if your partner cheated, give some great, I just, I don't want that to get twisted because I've dealt with plenty of couples who have dealt with infidelity in many different ways in their relationship. And like I said, it is its own entity. But in general, in day-to-day life, in accepting the humanity of yourself and the person that you are with and doing life with, grace is a great thing. And that's something that I keep at the forefront of my mind. When I see intention and effort, and when my partner sees intention and effort, when you see intention and effort being put in, and it's not just some flipping like whatever, I can keep making this mistake and it's not gonna matter, but there's effort being put in for real, like tangible. Like I see you do X, I see you doing X, I see you trying Y, and then it gets effed up at some point. It comes back up when you thought it was squashed. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for grace to step in. So that's what I got for today, y'all. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time, your ear. I appreciate you. It's Imani Aisha. I'm here doing videos this point every single day. Today's day 80, y'all, of daily posting. Okay. But every single day to remind us to stay connected to self, to our partners, and to creating the life that feels good to you. So if that is your vibe, please subscribe. I would love to continue the conversation and the journey with you. Something resonated with you in this video, please let me know down below in the comments. Let's go. Let me know you're here. Say, hey, roll call. Okay. I might do that in the beginning because I really want to know. I see numbers and I'm like, there's people attached to these numbers. Who are you? Um, but roll call. Let me know you're here. Say hey. And yeah, thanks again. I appreciate you. I'm gonna see you tomorrow.